Hey guys, this is Matthew from Commercial Deal Junkie, and I'm going to be going over the 1031 exchange and how you can use it to really supercharge your real estate investment journey. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Matthew Masood. I'm a commercial broker and investor based out of Southern California, buying commercial real estate all around the country. All right, so 1031 exchange. So, what is the 1031 exchange? A 1031 exchange is a way to take your equity of a deal you're going to sell and move that equity into another property without paying capital gains tax on the property you sell. So you sell a property, you're going to have equity coming out of that. You have two options. You can either cash out the equity, put it into your bank account, in which you'll get a fat tax bill at the end of the year, or you can identify a replacement property to put that money into the next property within a certain period of time and not pay the capital gains tax. So it's really a tax deferral strategy. You are not getting rid of the taxes. You're simply pushing it down the line in order, you're saying, I will pay the taxes on this later when I sell the replacement property. So you have to buy a like kind property and you don't pay immediate capital gains. You have to follow a couple specific rules, like the 45-day and 180-day rule, which we'll go into details in a moment. And then you can defer the taxes and you can keep the money working in a new investment or multiple other investments. So, what is the 45-day and 180-day rule? So, what you're saying, so you're going to sell a property and you're going to give those funds. Let's say you're selling a $500,000 property. Okay. You have 200,000 in debt, your equity is 300,000. Okay. You're going to take that 300,000 upon closing the sale of the property and you're going to give it to a third party, most commonly known as a qualified intermediary. This qualified intermediary, they're going to hold that 300,000 for you. It's not allowed to touch your bank account. The minute it touches your bank account, it's a taxable event. So they're holding your 300,000. Okay. Within 45 days of selling your down leg property, which is essentially the initial property that you sold, within 45 days, you have to give the qualified intermediary a list of properties that you would like to purchase as your replacement property. Let me give you an example of what that document looks like. It's called an identification notice. This is one I had when I sold a 6 unit in Ohio. I bought this 6 unit here for 220. And then about two-ish years later, I sold that one for 360. So I had equity there that I didn't want to pay capital gains on. So I gave it to a qualified intermediary. And within 45 days, I had to give them this document that's saying, these are the properties I'm looking to purchase as my replacement property for the property I sold. So you have 45 days to give them this document signed. And there's two options when it comes to identifying your replacement properties. You can identify three properties, or you can identify as many properties as you want, but the total values of properties you identified can't be worth more than 2x the property. So back to our example, you sold a property for 500,000, you have 300,000 in equity. You can either identify three properties, no value restrictions on them, or you can identify as many properties as you want, five, seven, 10 properties, but the total value of all the properties you identify can't be worth more than $1 million in this case because your replacement property was $500,000. Let me go back to my little Canva presentation here. So, how does a 1031 exchange work? Okay, so like I said, you have 45 days to identify the property, and then you have 180 days in total to close on this property. It's not 45 plus 180, it's 45 including the 180. So let's say you've identified, on the 44th day, you send an email to your intermediary and you say, these are the three properties I want to close on. Now you have 135 days left to close on one of the three or five or seven or however many you identified. So it's 180 days from closing your initial property to close on your replacement property. So in order to fully defer your taxes, there's an additional step. You got to make sure that the property you purchase is worth more than the property you sold. So for example, in this case, with your 300,000 in equity, you can't go out and buy a $300,000 property in cash, even though you have that sitting in equity. I mean, you can do it, but you're not fully deferring all the taxes. That 200,000 that you didn't replace is still a taxable profit there. So you have to replace both the debt and the equity. Okay. So you have to replace both the debt and the equity. Back to the $500,000 example. $500,000, 300,000 in equity, 200,000 in debt. When you go buy your new property, you also have to have 200,000 in debt minimum and 300,000 in equity. This example might be a little confusing because I switched them in the slide here, but the easiest way to look at it now, what you can do is take your 300,000, put an offer on a property that's worth $1 million, take a $700,000 loan, and have 300,000 in equity. That you can do because the replacement property is worth more than the original property. It's a much easier, it's a much better way to scale a real estate portfolio. A lot of people don't like to do this because they can't actually enjoy the cash. They have to move it on to the next deal, but it's a great way to really scale the properties. So let's go back over the rules again. You have 45 days from closing on the property to identify your next property. You have to send a letter to the qualified intermediary. Don't forget, you have to engage the qualified intermediary before you close on your initial property. So let's say, you're 2 weeks away from closing on the sale of a property. You go to a qualified intermediary, you tell them the situation, you tell them the address, you're going to sign some documents. So once you close, the title company knows not to wire you the money, not to wire you the profits, but to wire the profits to the qualified intermediary. Once you close, qualified intermediary has their the funds, the equity funds. You now have 45 days to send them pretty much this that says, this is what I'm looking to purchase. These are the addresses I'm looking to purchase. In total, once you close, you have 180 days or 135 after the 45 identification period to actually close on one of your replacement properties. But in order to do a complete replacement, you also have to make sure that the property you're buying both has the same or greater amount of debt and the same or greater amount of equity. Simple way to look at it is, what was the debt and equity of the property I sold? Is the debt and equity of my replacement property higher or less? If it's less, some portion of the proceeds will be taxable. So in order to make it a complete 1031 with no tax liabilities, it has to be a larger property. Another thing is, it also has to be a like-kind property. Now, that means that the property you purchase also has to be an investment. You can't take this money and go buy a personal residence. I have heard of some CPAs talking about loopholes for that, but for the most part, it can't be a personal residence. The other thing is, for the original property you sold, it also had to have been an investment property, meaning that you can't do a flip and then 1031 the flip proceeds. The rule of thumb is you want to have held the original property for at least a year. Okay. Now, before I end this video, I do want to reiterate, it needs your downleg property. You are only deferring the taxes. You are not eliminating the taxes on your gain. You are only deferring it. That means if you sell the property, the new property you buy, if you sell that without doing a 1031, you're going to owe both the capital gains on your original deal plus the new capital gains from this deal. So what many people do is they just keep 1031 over and over and over. And then when they die, they get something called a stepped up basis, means all the previous capital gains are eliminated, and your children or your spouse or whoever inherits the property now is no longer liable for those previous capital gains. So that's a strategy that many people use: keep 1031ing until they die. And so that's the 1031 in a nutshell. You're just deferring capital gains. You're taking the profits of one deal and immediately moving it into another deal within a certain period of time. So you're no longer responsible for capital gains taxes. Now, if you have very specific questions, there's a lot of nuances and different options, and I highly recommend to reach out to a qualified intermediary. I personally use, who do I use? They all do the same thing, but I personally use, what are they called? Old Republic 1031 exchange, but they all do the same job. So go out there, don't worry about having capital gains, as long as you're comfortable moving the income or the gains straight into another deal. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one.